So apparently prompting is dead, and this new way is going to completely change the way that you build apps. I mean, I'm sure we've all probably heard this before, especially if you're on X. You probably hear it every other hour, I would say, about a new thing coming out. But this one is actually pretty interesting if I really think about it. Well, we went from prompt engineering a couple years ago to last year, I think it was context engineering was the big hype. And then recently this year, we've gone through a few iterations. We went through workflows and loops, and this new one that kind of dropped last week is graph engineering. And if you haven't heard about graph engineering or kind of know what that looks like, the concept of graphing has been around a very long time. I want to even say in the 1700s when it was originally kind of developed. The idea here is you have these nodes, these little dots here on this chart I'm going to be placing up here. And between these nodes, you have these lines that kind of connect, which kind of creates this workflow. Well, the idea is that these nodes are each going to be its own agent. And then the lines in between is the data that is going to pass from one agent to another. So the way that this kind of works in practice is really interesting with building apps. You think about it where what agent is actually dependent on the data that's coming in. So you start off here at the beginning with this orchestrator agent, and then maybe you have a research agent, you have a UI agent, a backend agent, a database agent, whatever it might be. All of these points don't kind of rely on each other what the data they want. Maybe you need to research your feature first, and then you can already build the skeletal for your UI, and then build the CRUD API routes, and then build the database tables. You kind of know what the general feature is, so you don't need any data to be passed in between those, and they're not dependent, so they can now work in parallel. And then at the end, you can have a validator agent who's going to look through all of the code, look through all of the changes and all of the research, and just make sure that everything is good. And within here, you can actually have loops where if it's not, you kick it back to the agent in that workflow that did it. It's kind of graph engineering in a nutshell at a higher level, but follow me for part 2 and I'll show you exactly how I'm using this in my workflow.